This number jersey was worn in Indian cricket by 4 men. 3 of them are Sunil Joshi, Shiv Sundar Das, and Shardul Thakur. Who is the fourth man and what is that number? I'm talking, of course, in ODI cricket. I think your best hint on this would
Mm-hmm.
be the last name.
Deep Das Gupta.
Come on, no.
Oh, okay. I thought last I got, but I have another answer.
Yeah, I think you know the answer. Welcome to another episode of Random Cricket Conversations with Comedians. And after the lightning strike that was our last guest, Saurabh Pant, we have got a guest who is as calm as the sea breeze, who hails from the land of Saurav Ganguly and who, as we all have come to know by now, doesn't want kids.
बॉम्बे में ऐसे 4-5 हजार लोगों को पता है कि अनिर्बान को बच्चा नहीं चाहिए. Even kids in the building, they're like, एक जन कम है टीम में. I'm like, well, that's not. किसी को डबल बैटिंग दे दो यार.
Writer comedian Anirban Das Gupta. Welcome to the show, Anirban.
Thank you so much, Amit.
First things first, did you expect to be welcomed on a cricket podcast with that reference?
No, not at all.
That would be actually the last of, whatever comedy references, your stand-up comedy references that we will be delving into, because now it's all about cricket, your cricket watching experience, cricket quizzing, and your favorite moments from the game, of course. So, ladies and gentlemen, tighten your seatbelts for what is set to be a cracker of an episode with a crazy comedian and an even crazier cricket lover. So, Anirban, since it's a cricket podcast, I researched for it the way, these days research is being done on cricketers, which is basically going through their old tweets.
Old tweets, oh my God.
I will refer to a tweet of yours from 2016 and it says, just realized I've consumed so much sports in my life that I've watched Mohan Bagan and East Bengal twice in cricket. I think this tweet pretty much, captures the sports enthusiast that you are and, who you just do not love sport. But yeah, I mean, who would watch cricket matches between two clubs that are famous for football? But again, I know that is what you are. And so, yeah, tell me a bit about how did your love for sports reach here? And also, how much of an influence was the city that you grew up in, Kolkata? I know for a fact that it is a city inhabited by the most passionate lovers of the game, of all kind of sports. So tell me a bit about that.
I think Kolkata is the reason why sports is such a big part of my life. Last year, 2020, when live sports, stopped, that's when I realized, oh my God, I don't know this life where there is nothing to look forward to on a Saturday or, throughout the week. And it all started because of Kolkata, especially just a part of Kolkata. I wouldn't say the entirety of Kolkata, but just a part of Kolkata, which is the Kolkata Maidan. That place is just heaven. Like, if you ask me, what do I miss of Kolkata? And my parents are there, but I'd first say Maidan. Because that place is just magical. I literally grew up in the Maidan. Like every week, at least for 3 or 4 days, I would be found in the Maidan, either playing cricket, properly like I had a club there. I used to play for BNR, or just playing with my friends. And when I'm playing with my friends, that could be like cricket, football, just running around. That was a crazy time to be in Calcutta. Like Saurav Ganguly just made his debut. Suddenly, like somebody from the city has just scored a century on debut at Lord's. So much like other kids, I also wanted to play cricket. Like I used to join a coaching club, but I had a problem in my eye. So my vision wasn't developed. So I had to go through a pretty prolonged treatment, and that made me I had to cover my eyes in the morning. Okay, and all cricket so it's like a pirate patch I used to wear and go to school, and all cricket coaching used to happen in the morning. So I was not able to just I just wanted to play cricket, okay, proper cricket, pad up and deuce ball, but I was just not able to do it. So my dad at that point was like, okay, this will take about a year, so we have a year. Why should we just wait for it? Let's play tennis. Okay, so because tennis coaching used to happen in the evening, so I was in class one, and so class one and two I trained at the South Club under Akhtar Ali, who's like a very popular tennis coach. Taught Leander and many others. So that was my first connection with sports, apart from just watching on TV whatever is on. At that point, like only cricket used to be on the TV. Like there was no football, there was no other thing. So my love for cricket started like everybody else, just watching the games. But then I got more into sports when I started playing tennis. Then I was like, okay, I have 1 year, so I have to make the most of it. So I like just played tennis like for a year every afternoon, and then as soon as the patch went away, I started playing cricket, and that's when I started really getting into the sport. Like otherwise, before that, I used to just watch the matches. Whenever the matches used to come, I used to like watch it like everybody else. But once I started playing cricket, cricket just consumed my life. Like there was nothing else that I did. If I'm not playing or watching cricket, I'm thinking about cricket.
Wow.
It was, and I'm not studying at all. Like everything like went for a toss. It was just cricket.
What did you do? Did you bowl? Did you bat?
So I started off as a batsman and a wicket keeper.
Oh,
This
nice.
was when I was in under 11s. So I was 9 year old when I made it to the under 11s team of my club, and I was the opening batsman and wicket keeper. Then gradually, I stopped wicket keeping. I started fielding at point. Looking at all Jaunty Rhodes and Yuvraj Singh. Those were the guys, and I never bowled till I got selected in CAB under 14, which was Bengal under 14,
Yeah.
in the year 2000. I was in the probables. I didn't make it to the final squad, but that's when I started bowling, because I think the coaches at Eden Gardens they understood that my batting is. My batting was like I never used to like really apply my mind. Okay, I used to just play as it is, and during those days, that was looked down upon. Like you have to really, because this was the year 2000. There, every like right from under 11s, you're preparing to play Test cricket.
Yeah.
That's like how the coaching structure works. And I used to like outside the off stump, I used to like hit it. Like no, outside the off stump, you have
Bit of
to.
Sehwag in there.
Yeah, yeah. Like after 8 years before IPL, I was doing all that. Okay. After a couple of times, my coaches were like, "Okay, you are not batting again," and they just like gave me the ball, and I started bowling. And my natural action kind of, allowed a lot of in swing. So they kind of like spotted that, and they really put in effort to improve my bowling. So like when I came out of those 6 to 8 months at Eden Gardens, I was a bowler. So after that, when I used to play club cricket, I used to open the bowling and bat at like number 6 or something.
That's quite an interesting story. And what happened to the wicket keeping? You gave that up after the age of 9 or 10?
Yeah. I think initially I used to wicket keep because I was scared of the ball. I think at that point, so I was like, okay, wicket keeping it like seems to be like gloves plus you're in the action all the time. It's like pretty cool. But eventually, like I was not a very good wicket keeper. There were better players who took over, and I was like happy fielding.
Anirban Dasgupta happens to be a life member at the Eden Gardens of Kolkata. And of course, it is the Eden Gardens and it is special. But as he wrote to me in the mail, that there is a very juicy story behind that. So go on, Anirban, reveal that juicy story. Give me that micro content that will make this video go viral.
But that could also like start criminal proceedings against me. So like we have to like.
That's fine.
strike a
You have
balance.
offended enough people, Anirban.
So I am officially the youngest life member of Eden Gardens ever.
Wow.
Yeah. So Eden Gardens life member rules state that you can only be a life member after 18 years of age. I have been a life member since I was 8. So like not proud of it, but very happy how it turned out.
But how did that
So-
happen is what we want to know.
So basically, my dad got the forms from CAB. He wanted to apply for life member, and I think nowadays applying for membership is a much bigger deal. There's a big wait list and all of that. But during those days, it was pretty smooth. And my dad had gotten the form to fill it up himself, and he wanted to be a life member. But then he had this idea that okay, like, I'm doing this for my son only. Like all the tickets that I'll get, like, I want him to, come and watch cricket with me at the Eden Garden. So he said, ki, okay, fine, I'll just write it in your, like, I'll take this membership in your name. And there was a domestic help who basically signed, okay, like my name, Anirban Dasgupta. And
This
because
story
I
is
was
getting
like,
dangerous with every twist and turn.
yeah, there is some forgery. So like she signed it, and like for the longest time that was my signature, because I was like, okay, this is the signature in the Eden Gardens application form. So when I grew to the age where I had to also like sign at places, I used to copy that sign, and that sign was like done in a way how a kid will like do it. So I had to, like, even when my handwriting was better, I had to like like intentionally like just make the alphabets wobble a little bit. And in fact my first bank signature was also that, and then I had to change it. I was like, this can't go on forever.
Oh, it's gone to third man. This could be out as well. It's got him. It's unbelievable. Jaya Surya caught at third man. Well, would you believe it?
This is something that I think about often, even after almost 25 years, I think, is the 1996 World Cup semi-final.
You were there.
I was there.
Oh my God.
That semi-final was just like, like obviously the match ended in disaster, but I only have fond memories from that game.
How old were you back then?
I was 8 years.
Okay.
96.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was 8 years. So I remember I had gone with my mom for this match, and she wasn't like much interested in cricket before Ganguly came. Before that, it was just like parenting duty. But yeah, so I'd gone with her, and first over 2 wickets, Jayasurya Kalwitharna gone. Couldn't believe it because they were just smashing everybody in that tournament, and they were 1 for 2. And I remember, I distinctly remember Arvinda De Silva playing for a long time. I just remember, I don't remember how he got out and all, but I remember, okay, this guy is not getting out. Then they reached a respectable score, and then obviously I saw Sachin Tendulkar in full flow, and then he got out. I think we were 120 for 8. I left. My mom sensed that something is going to go wrong here, because the collapse was just too much. Like, it wasn't like 2-3 wickets. It was 7 wickets. I think we went from like 90 for 1 to 120 for 8 or something. And I think when the 6th wicket fell, I remember when Nayan Mongia got out. Very don't remember it very clearly. I remember like either it was Nayan Mongia or Ashish Kapoor. Okay, one of those two guys. Mm-hmm. They slogged and the ball went high up in the air, and it was caught in the inner circle. That much I remember. Is that was the last moment I saw before going out of the gate.
Oh, so you missed the drama then. You saw the drama unfold, but you missed the drama. That could have been quite a memory. And well, you're lucky that you missed that drama, to be honest.
Yeah. It was like a little dangerous, I think, for an 8-year-old. So my mom just whisked me away. Then I came home and then I saw Kamli crying. Well, obviously, like, it was a big loss, but I was just happy to be at the Eden Gardens, just to like take in the atmosphere. And I really don't remember what happened. I just know that Calcutta was obviously like it was called disgraceful by like Kolkata. It was obviously had a bad name on the city and the stadium. Yeah. But I didn't really care.
As an 8-year-old, you were just happy to watch some good cricket. It doesn't matter who won, who lost, and what happened after that, right?
Yeah. Lord's Test match, Sourav Ganguly's debut.
Don't tell me you were there as well.
No, I wasn't there because Lord's has a better life member application scrutiny. I don't think I followed it too much. This was also like I was 8 years old. And then when Ganguly scored the century, I don't remember the innings also that much, but I remember him scoring the century, watching highlights. It was a big deal. It was like, there was a party atmosphere in my house, as if somebody from the house has, gone and scored a century at Lord's. I remember it clearly. Then at that point, there weren't any news channels, to basically update you what's happening at every moment. I remember I think in next day's bulletin, uh, Doordarshan Bangla or some other, like it was like one news channel at that point. I don't remember what it was. They had just one bulletin a day, and I remember they told the news of Ganguly scoring a century, and then they showed Ganguly's house in Behala. I remember that very clearly, and they showed the gate of that house, because like he lives in a huge palace kind of a house, and I just remember that gate, and till today I remember that gate. I just know that okay, like an iron gate then behind this is Saurav Ganguly's house. That made a huge impact on my life, is because that made me wanna play cricket. Before that, this wasn't a huge deal where you have to take coaching. Because all my friends, none of my friends actually took coaching. Like my school friends, we were happy playing even at the Victoria Memorial, on a Sunday with like everybody's fathers. But playing proper, like as a training going at 6 o'clock in the morning, and like warming up, fielding, batting, bowling, all that just Ganguly century made me want to do. And that century was the reason why I played cricket for the next 8 years non-stop. So that's a very important moment of my life.
I saw one tweet and I really liked it, to be honest, that the reason for which people are following Kerala Blasters is because Sachin is behind them. How nonsensical is that? So I've seen you, so how has your attitude changed over the years? Because you took up cricket because of those superstars. Now you've grown up and you've figured out there is a lot more to them than their cricket. So how has that relationship with those superstars changed?
Man, it's very tough. It's very tough. I actually have a set on Sachin Tendulkar, and how the government uses Sachin Tendulkar for their propaganda. And but the thing is that I think both can exist. Like nobody can take away my memories of Sachin Tendulkar batting, in full flow in the 90s. I could do a set on him every night of the year, where for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, I'm cracking jokes on Tendulkar, and it's coming from like pretty much anger and frustration. That in fact, like okay, I'll tell you, my relationship with Sachin Tendulkar has evolved exactly this. Before he tweeted out that whole thing, after Rihanna tweeted, I actually had a set, which was there's only one person whom BJP will listen to, and that is Tendulkar. Okay, so if Tendulkar like comes out, my set was on this premise, and there were like other jokes, but the premise of the set was if Sachin Tendulkar comes out and says that I play cricket, I love cricket, and if you ask me whom do I love more, cricket or India, I'll give you an answer after some consultation. I used to do all of those things. Okay, so then he only came out and like tweeted for the government, and then it just like that set was like gone. Like I couldn't do that set anymore. So I changed the set and I've made it a little different set. But at the same time, every night I will watch his highlights. It's okay. Like it's his life. He can do whatever he wants. Like obviously we have expectations, because Sachin is like not just a cricketer, right? Like he's much more than that. He's also a Bharat Ratna. Like he means a lot. He can't be acting like other celebrities, right? Like others, like nobody really cares about what other like film stars say. But Sachin Tendulkar is more than a film star. He's like God, literally. I do this. He's also a Hindu god. So, but yeah, like I realized that I can be critical of my heroes, but at the same time, they are the ones I'm watching at 1 o'clock in the night, even to this day. So there have been days where I've gone out at 8 o'clock, done a show, and like spoken about Tendulkar, done another show at 10 o'clock, done that set again, and then at 1 o'clock I'm home and watching a Sharjah highlights.
Yeah, that's true actually. That's something that like a lot of people don't really buy that argument that if someone's politics is that, then you cannot really like them or support them. But
Yeah.
to be honest, when it comes to the likes of Tendulkar, Ganguly, and Dravid, it is very difficult for people like us who have grown up watching them and who, for us, cricket actually meant those few people, right? So it is very difficult to just dismiss all that they have done or all that they've contributed to
Yeah.
our lives if because of one thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree with what you said, that you can admire them for what they did, and actually nothing can take away, what
Yeah.
Tendulkar contributed to the country's happiness. I always say that, like, for
Absolutely.
24 years, this man, guided our emotions. He was so important to what India felt on
Yeah.
particular days. So, but at the same time, what he does, of course, we can be critical of it. And okay, Sachin is one part of the
Mm.
story. How is it with Saurav
Yeah.
Ganguly though? Because you, of course, you come from Kolkata. You grew up
Yeah.
watching Saurav Ganguly, and you followed KKR, which we'll come back to, after a while. But
Yeah.
yeah, how has it been following Saurav Ganguly's development from that captain, fierce captain, to now the BCCI president under certain circumstances?
Man, that's also very tough. Oh my God. Like, these
Okay,
are tougher than my relationships.
I have really made you emotional now. I've
Yeah, so my relationship with Saurav Ganguly is actually more personal than Tendulkar
Mhm.
because of the Calcutta Connect. And like I was dreading, like, there were news that Ganguly might be the BJP candidate for chief minister. I was like, what? Like, okay, that I don't think I am in a situation to handle that blow, that bigger blow, because that's like, making Steve Piccolo wait at the toss instead of Steve Waugh. You know what I mean? If
Wow.
he becomes the chief minister, because he joins the bullies.
Yeah.
So Ganguly for me is that guy who, stood up against Australia, who had this no nonsense attitude, backed his players. That is a big part of, Ganguly, and thankfully he didn't join politics. I can live with him being BCCI president as long as there is no more damage. But it is difficult. It is difficult. But at the same time, I'll be watching some highlights probably tonight only.
When we were following the likes of Tendulkar and Ganguly, we didn't know that something like this would happen in the future, where what they would say or what they would do would polarize opinions so much. So at this point, are you a little conscious about attaching so much emotion to a cricketer like the way you did back then? Because, now we know that certain cricketers might have political inclinations and all of that. Has that changed your attitude towards these cricketers?
No, not because of the political affiliation. To be honest, I just don't feel that strongly for the cricketers now. I actually, like, after about 2006-7, I kind of had a few years where I wasn't following that much cricket. I was in college, just playing a lot of football, and that kind of took me away from the game. So after that, like, when the Kohlis have come and the Rohit Sharmas have come, I'm not that attached to them at all. Like, I'll obviously like watch them bat. It's a delight to watch a Kohli bat or a Rohit Sharma bat, but I don't feel that strongly about them. Probably because I've also, like, grown, and
So it would not hurt so much down some years down the line if whatever they do politically, right?
yeah, I like, it would be surprising if they don't. So, like,
Yeah.
my attitude is that.
Tell me about your KKR story. How has it been following that cricket club? Because, I was, again, your tweets told me that you were very passionate in 2010. You were tweeting left, right, and center about KKR, especially about G. Vignesh.
Oh
So,
my God.
and how has that been? Like, because I have my own KKR story. I was also a Saurav Ganguly fan, and first season I could not watch because we had Doordarshan back then. So second season I was very excited. My 10th exams had just gotten over, and I told my father, Papa, I need cable. He said, okay, only 2 months. I
Yeah,
said, yeah, IPL 2 mahine hoga. I'm pretty happy with it. And then that
yeah, yeah.
season began in South Africa. First two matches, and
Ah,
I just knew that KKR are not any good in this tournament, and I just gave
oh
up.
man.
I gave up watching cricket. Like, I gave up watching the IPL, and
Yeah,
but at that point, because I was not watching any IPL, my sisters and my mom, they started watching other shows on cable TV, and then the IPL was never the reason why the cable was there. Like, that 2 month
right.
probation period, it was not followed by my dad. So yeah, how has that been for you, the KKR journey?
Most frustrating of my life. Like, and I support Liverpool. Okay,
Exactly.
so KKR is like it's like I really get worked up on KKR. So I was in college when IPL started, and I was the only KKR fan in the entire hostel, and we were so bad. Like I think we finished like sixth, then eighth, then seventh. So 3 years I was in college, the first 3 seasons, and it was a nightmare. It was just a nightmare because there are like 90 other kids, like and nobody supports KKR. Like nobody's supporting KKR for Shah Rukh Khan also. Okay, they are all like Rajasthan Royals and CSK, all like just random. And then I was like, okay, fine. Like it doesn't really matter if KKR plays well. We had this whole rivalry going on with Man United fan versus Liverpool fan versus Arsenal fan versus Chelsea fan. Those were the days where Rafa, Ferguson, Mourinho, 2008. So we already I was not doing that well in football. Okay, I was being bullied a lot. I had no bragging rights. So I thought, okay, like maybe KKR, what a team we had, man, in the first season. Chris Gayle, Ricky Ponting, Brendan McCullum, Shoaib Akhtar, and we finished like 8th or 7th. My goodness, it really bothered me. Like those 3 years, like I used to kind of dread like going to the TV room, after a point, because I'm like, yo, वापस like log मजाक उड़ाएंगे, वापस like कुछ ना, like just you don't enjoy it after a while. Like it was 3 years of that, and then as soon as I left college, they won the IPL, and I was like, man, I wish you gave me this opportunity when I was in the hostel. Okay, I'd be the only KKR fan, and if KKR won the IPL. But it was frustrating for the first 3 years. Then obviously the Gautam Gambhir era was much better. I actually followed KKR even when I was not following Test cricket or ODIs or international cricket around 2000, like 2008, 9 se leke 2014, 15. I was kind of like off following cricket like how I used to do before and after. But IPL was always a part of my life. Like whenever the IPL would come around, I would take time out. I would go to the Eden Gardens to watch when I was in Calcutta. I also went to watch KKR versus Bombay at Wankhede. So yeah, I have always been in touch with what's going on in the IPL, and we are back to where we were before. Like after Gautam Gambhir is gone, and again we are. Like why do we have McCullum again? Like please tell me, like why is he? It's just like Brendan McCullum was KKR captain when we had the worst season, and now again you are like you only manage. Please, come on, I don't like 7 matches they went without changing the team this year. I mean, like why do they have substitutes? Like they like just let them let them go. They don't need any like I don't understand why don't they change players. The Sunil Narayan and Andre Russell played so good 7 years back, right? how can you still get selected because of 2014 mein kya kiya tha? I don't understand this. So I get really pissed, but at the same time I love them. So yeah.
Yeah, it is that sort of a relationship with KKR for KKR fans, and I'm no more a KKR fan. I don't support any particular team, but and that's largely because of the first 3 years of frustration. Okay, 2009 that happened in South Africa. 2010 Saurav Ganguly came back as the captain amid so much fanfare, and even then, like things just didn't click. So, but yeah, this has been a common theme for all KKR fans that they're frustrated. They're like 6th position hamara hai. We are happy that 6th position se aage kuch bhi hoga. We are happy with that.
99 World Cup was actually a milestone in my following of cricket, where I had like a book, and then after every match I would paste the newspaper cuttings and then write who played what, and what was the highlights and everything. So I had like a proper every match had its own page, and like semi-final and final had extra pages because the newspaper had more material then. And I remember that tournament for that. But before 99, there's another match that I very fondly remember is the Independence Cup final in Dhaka. That chase of 320, I think that was world record at that point, where India beat Pakistan almost in the dark.
Yeah.
There was no light. Kanitkar hit the winning runs. But I remember that match for Ganguly and Robin Singh's partnership. It's just too good. Robin Singh had come in at number 3, I think. He was sent as a pinch hitter, and I couldn't believe, like, at that, in those days in '98, 250 was a big score. Like, 250 would be a close chase. So 320, you just don't expect, like, India to even go close. But yeah, winning that match, chasing down 300 against Pakistan was great. I think it was one of the like moments for the Indian team also, where they were like, okay, we can like chase down any target. Like, we have Sachin and Ganguly at the top, and decent batting lineup after that. So yeah, I remember watching that match.
So many of your memories revolve around Saurav Ganguly. Did you ever happen to meet him, or for that matter, not just Saurav Ganguly? Tell me about, you've been a celebrity yourself now. Any experience with a cricketer that you remember fondly and not too fondly? I mean, if it is not too fondly, you can choose to not take the name.
No, I've come across, I've like crossed Ganguly many times because yeah, when I was practicing at the Eden Gardens, he used to come and work out at the gym in the indoor stadium. So I've like seen him go up, go down, and like I haven't spoken to him, but I've like seen him around during those days. He was India captain at that point, and then when we used to play our matches inside the Eden Gardens. So Eden Gardens used to be divided into 3 grounds, and then like all like 10-year-old, 11-year-olds would like play. It's just how how in Oval Maidan they do it, like where point is square leg of another match. That kind of thing used to happen inside the main ground. Okay. And I've often seen Ganguly like come and sit like outside the boundary rope, have tea most likely with our selectors. So yeah, I've seen him from up close like that. Yeah, I met him at the airport once, and I took a photo. I remember. this was when he was going to the IPL only. I met him in the Chennai airport. But my best memory of meeting a cricketer was Virendra Sehwag. Okay. I had like dinner and drinks with him once at a friend's house. Actually, Vikram Sathe's house. Mm-hmm. And that was very nice. Oh man, that was such a great night. So many great stories. Sehwag is very funny, and yeah, I'll never forget that night.
You tweeted back in, I guess, 2017 or what, that the entire career of Virender Sehwag as a batsman was just a setup for him to become the Twitter sensation that he is. So I think that must have been coming from those conversations. But yeah, I can totally imagine how it would be with Sehwag around.
Straight down the ground, and surely now Ganguly's got to call him in. Yes, that's it.
The 2001 follow-on Test match, India versus Australia at Eden Gardens.
Don't tell me you were there as well. Were you?
I was there, man. I was there.
I'm so jealous of you, Anirban.
Oh, this happened. I think this was happening in March because my final exams were going on. Yep. And I went on day 1. I watched the entire match. I saw Harbhajan take a hat trick, and like I left the stadium thinking, okay, India is like in control of this match because they were like 7 or 8 down with just Steve Waugh batting. And then obviously the next 2 days I wasn't in the stadium because I had my exams or something. So then like I had kind of given up hope. I'd stopped watching the match also on TV. It was so bad. And then day 4, Dravid and Lakshmana was not there on day 4 also. But day 4 I watched a little bit on TV. And day 5 was a day where I had an exam in the morning. So my dad picked me up from my school, and from there we went to the Eden Gardens, and I reached there at lunch. So at that point also it wasn't very clear that India is going to.
At lunch, I would believe, yeah, even at tea, India had to take 7 wickets after
7 wickets.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, like it's still a great effort drawing the match from following on, and yeah, then I saw the last 2 sessions. Sachin Tendulkar taking 3 wickets and Harbhajan Singh from the other end. Oh. Like I just remember that as soon as the appeal would go, the umpire would go like this. It was just remember it from my place in the stands. So yeah, that Test match obviously changed Indian cricket. But I'm just happy that I was there on day 1 and day 5. Harbhajan Singh hat trick and the win.
Wow, you've seen some really historic moments in Indian cricket from. And how is the atmosphere in like one of the things that when I look back at the highlights of that match, I also watched it on television, but I was about 8 or 9 at that point. But the way the crowds go mad, especially with every wicket falling at the in the final session, that is something I like. Yeah, ये जगह पर होना चाहिए था. This is where you experience the madness of cricket in Kolkata, and
Yeah.
that's like 100,000 people. Australian batsmen falling like 9 pins, and again, as you said, SK Bansal with being trigger happy with his
Yeah.
umpiring decisions. But yeah, that's something that I would have, if I can go back in time and possibly buy a ticket for the fifth day, I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
That's one place to be in. Yeah. How was that experience for you? Like being in the crowd for that and the aftermath of it. Like it must be crazy.
I just remember, I just remember that after every match I watched at Eden Gardens, I lost my voice. Like, this happened throughout, like, when I was in school, when I was in college. It's impossible to have your voice intact after walking out of Eden Gardens after a day of cricket. Even if your team, even if India is not playing well, there's nothing to cheer about. You would still be shouting, like, either it could be like criticism and like, anger and everything, but shouting and screaming is a huge part of watching at Eden Gardens. And I think what the current Eden Gardens, after they renovated it, I think for the 2011 World Cup, now they have seats, individual seats.
Yeah.
So that reduced the capacity also, and that reduced the atmosphere also, because before that there used to be concrete benches. So there was just like a huge concrete bench, and like 25 people would sit here. And they would like just paint it. Okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Just like thoda gap de deke, they would just paint it. And so it was just one concrete bench. So when it's a concrete bench, then you get up on the like seat
Yeah.
very quickly. Like, when there's a plastic chair, it's difficult because your balance will falter. But during those days, it was just concrete seats. So like people would just stand on the seat, then somebody would stand on the person who's standing on the seat, and those things are not possible now. But I remember those days very clearly. And I used to do just one thing. Like Eden Gardens, like watching a match is great, but the logistics to watch a match at Eden Gardens, you also have to like plan and strategize for it. For example, all public transport is shut, like, around Eden Gardens, like around the Kolkata Maidan. So you have to actually walk for like 30-40 minutes to get a metro or to get a taxi or to get a bus. So all this, and then, so this is while leaving, but while going also you have to walk that like, 20 minutes. So even that walk where you can see Eden Gardens all decked up for a big match, and there are like some like, they have like, it's, I don't know how to, like, it's just bamboo paths. Like, they have like, okay, gate F is here, and it's like a 15-20 minute walk. And that's when everybody is like,
Excited.
just excited, like shouting, buying things, like, jeetega bhai, jeetega, all of that is going on. So that begins the atmosphere. The match comes later. But like just walking to Eden Gardens, I think that's what, like, in many other stadiums, you just get down right next to the stadium, your car drops you off and you just go inside. Eden Gardens is not like that. You have to
It's
like,
a journey. It's a pilgrimage.
Yeah, it's actually a pilgrimage. It's like lag raha hai ki abhi wo mandir hai, abhi aise like 900 सीढ़ी चढ़ना है. Like it's like that. And yeah, that's a big part of the environment of watching cricket there.
Okay, you have had your share of Eden experiences, and one thing that I know from and you also told about how vocal Eden supporters, people who come to watch cricket at Eden are. What is the rudest, meanest thing that you have heard being said to a player or something at Eden Gardens? Because I know, like, there is no limit to what can get said. And what is possibly a rude or funny or anything that is interesting that, that might...
I actually don't remember anything clearly, but whenever the opposition fielder used to field in front of the stand that I am watching, he used to get abused big time. And I
was
think
it Bangla abuse or normal Hindi, English? What abuse?
No, like they wanted to communicate the abuse, so it wouldn't be like it's Bangla. I don't remember the player, but India West Indies Test match where Tendulkar scored a century. I think Lakshman also scored a century. Just vaguely remember somebody from the West Indian team getting abused a lot. And that guy also like then turned around and like kind of showed us the finger and went away. So
This is 2002, right? Yeah, 2002
yeah,
October. And this was around Durga Puja actually. They played around
yeah.
October. Yeah. Wow.
The thing is that Eden Gardens is so big that if you are on the top tier, then like whoever is fielding downstairs, like you don't really bother. It's like the abuse always comes from the people who are right behind you. There are some days where I got that place, but I remember most of the time used to be way back, like if not top tier, like bottom tier ka ekdam piche. So yeah, I just remember that when I was a kid, I used to hear a lot of abuses in Bengali. Not abuses to players, but just people like expressing themselves. And my mom and dad used to be like, please ignore, like don't. So yeah.
Bhadro log.
Then they used to like tell them ki bacha sate esti, like I'm here with a kid, please don't abuse and all. But obviously they wouldn't listen. They used to abuse my mom then.
Oh my God.
My own journey as a cricket fan, when I'm following the Tendulkars and the Gangulis and the Dravids, my dad is actually also talking about the era of cricket he followed. So he was like, used to continuously tell us, stories that we have all heard, like Salim Durrani's hand used to be like this big, you just ask him to hit a six, he'll hit a six, and all those like
Folklores.
tidbits of information, like 83 World Cup, that team, the Gavaskars and the Kapil Devs. Before that, like Vijay Merchant. So I have always heard these stories growing up, and quiz mein bhi yahi sab aata hai. Like, so if you just know a few names, like lag jata hai, like if you make an educated guess. So I remember in like last year when I was doing KV's quiz, in the final I got a question which was basically Hanif Mohammad's triple century. Okay,
Yeah.
and now that's a story that I have only heard from my dad. Okay, 25 years back. Okay, after that, he's probably said it 3 times, in the 90s. And after that, there is no Hanif Mohammad in my life. There is no Hanif Mohammad in my dad's life, nothing. But Pakistan cricketer scoring triple hundred, is it Hanif Mohammad? Like, so that was, I got, it was just from that memory. So
Wow.
here I am playing cricket, also following cricket like crazy. Whatever is there in the newspaper, I'll read about it. Kenya versus Bangladesh matches on, I'll watch it. So that obviously like, strengthened my cricketing knowledge of my era. And plus my dad helped me like, know about so many, like, know about the history of cricket, history of Indian cricket. And then when the internet came, I also like, kind of started reading up more. I used to read a lot of cricket books. I remember reading Runs and Ruins and Sunny Days and all these things. So all that like made me in a position where, okay, if I don't know anything about any other subject, but if you ask me a cricket question, I'll be in the game. At least I'll go like, towards the answer, probably still say the wrong answer. But it was just like too much consumption of cricket
It wouldn't be
before
too
social
off.
media.
The answer would be, around the correct answer, even if it's the wrong one.
Yeah, and I used to like, when I used to do all the school quizzes, in Kolkata, like the Maggie quiz and Sri Leather's quiz, ESPN sports quiz. Like when I was doing general quizzes, very honestly, I used to just wait for the sports questions, not just cricket. I used to just wait for the sports question, Olympics, football, tennis, anything. And if I got that right and still lost the quiz, I'll not feel that bad. But if I got that wrong and also lost the quiz, then I'd be like really, really sad, really disappointed.
I can
So
totally
even now,
understand that sentiment.
even now when like I'm playing quizzes with my friends, private on Zoom, I am just waiting for the cricket question. Like I heard the sports question. Like Baki, I know there is like Rohan Joshi and Ashish Shakia. Like you just can't compete with them, okay? But if you give me sports, I'll take it.
Cool. Then we will give you a small quiz. 5 questions for
Oh,
you.
man.
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
I
Okay.
I saw this video where you were doing a football quiz and you completely upped the ass of the quiz master there. So I know that you are up for it anytime. And you said at the end of it that I
Oh.
want more questions.
Yes. Yes, I'm
Cool.
ready.
So this
I'm
is
ready.
this is an easy one. Let's see. Let's go.
Okay.
Question number one.
Okay.
Okay. So this score is common to these four batsmen: Harshal Gibbs, Kapil Dev, Virender Sehwag, and Sachin Tendulkar. What's that? I mean, of course,
This
there are
score.
one particular
Huh.
score. Like 183 is common to Dhoni,
Huh.
Kohli, and
Kohli, Ganguly.
Ganguly. This score is common to Gibbs, Kapil Dev, Virender Sehwag, and Sachin Tendulkar.
Okay. Uh,
It's ODI. We are talking about ODIs.
okay, if it's ODIs, then I'm guessing it's 175.
That is exactly the correct answer. 175 scored by Gibbs in that chase against Australia, Kapil
Yeah.
Dev in that Zimbabwe match, and Sehwag against Bangladesh in the World Cup, and Sachin Tendulkar in what I call the heartbreak match against Australia, where we lost by 3 runs. Good beginning. We've started on a great note. Okay, second question. 3 back-to-back Cricket World Cups saw an Indian as the leading run scorer of the tournament. So you have to tell me which editions of the World Cup are we talking about. You can take your time. You can easily figure this one out.
Same guy. No, it's
No, not
different.
same guy. An Indian.
Got
I'll
it.
make it easier. One there are just 2 names because one guy did it twice.
Yeah. Okay.
These are 3 back-to-back editions. So somewhat like 75, 79, 83 or
Yeah.
something.
I think I got the years right. I'll just 1 second. Okay. Is it 96, 99, and 2003?
Perfect answer.
Okay.
So you have got 2 out of 2, and I think this is the point where I make this quiz slightly tougher because I also have to get something out of this quiz. So,
Yeah.
okay, this is one. This is an alcohol-related question. 708 gin collection. It's a collection of 2 premium gins, and you have to tell me which cricketer is behind this.
Shane Warne.
708. Yes, perfect answer. As wow, this is. I think I really need to up the game now. Okay, IPL Kolkata, and so this is your next question. Who was the last player who played for Pakistan and also played in an IPL team? He played cricket. I mean, of course, we know the ban on Pakistani cricketers, so we didn't see players from Pakistan after the first season, right? But there was a player who represented Pakistan and still played in a later season. So who is that cricketer?
Azhar Mahmood.
Yes, Azhar Mahmood for Kolkata in 2014. You tweeted about it. You tweeted that Azhar Mahmood is 42, Brad Hogg is 44, Vice the coach is 41. So you have this frustration-filled relationship with KKR where you are taking pot shots at even the coaching staff. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, last question, and this is slightly tougher, and I mean, if you get it, I would be so happy. So when MS Dhoni scored 148 against Pakistan, that was the highest score by an Indian wicketkeeper and in an ODI. You have to tell me whose record did he break in that match? Who held that record for the highest score by an Indian wicketkeeper in an ODI before Dhoni?
In an ODI.
I will give you hints on this one if you require. Only if you require. You are quite the professional here, so. Okay, I'll give you a hint on this, irrespective of you ask for it or not. But so this guy was he scored 145. I think that should be a big enough hint.
Indian wicketkeeper who scored 145.
This was the first match that he kept as a designated wicketkeeper. The match was in 1999.
Dravid.
Yes, this is Rahul Dravid from that match against Sri Lanka in 1999 World Cup.
Taunton.
You got 5 out of 5. What do you want more questions or what?
Yeah. I'm here for this.
Nice, really nice. Great. I think I totally enjoyed this, and I can totally go on with questions if you want.
Yeah, let's do like 3 more.
Okay, cool. I will.
So
that. Yeah. 2011. Chris Gayle was not retained, but he made a comeback to RCB because of an injury to which cricketer?
Dirk Nannis.
Whew, 6 out of 6. Okay, which brings me to the next question. And this is a simple one, so I think you will make it 7 out of 7. Which two brothers, who are also cricketers, are part of the band Six and Out?
6 and Out.
Yep.
Okay. No, I don't know this. 6
Wow.
and Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like 6? Or is there any hint in the name?
Not
just
really.
6 and Out.
Yeah, not really. Just the fact that these are two brothers who represented Australia. One of them
Oh,
played. Yep.
represented Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
One of them sang with Asha Bhosle.
Okay. I got it. I didn't know it before the hint though. Shane Lee and Brett Lee.
Yes, correct. Then you get this one right as well. Fine. Last question then. I will have to figure something out. Okay. This one is difficult. Okay. If you get this, I would be like, okay, I think I will stop quizzing. No, that's
No, don't do that.
overstatement. But yeah. Okay. This number jersey was worn in Indian cricket by 4 men. 3 of them are Sunil Joshi, Shiv Sundar Das, and Shardul Thakur. Who is the 4th man and what is that number? I'm talking, of course,
Okay.
in ODI cricket. I think your best hint on this would be the last name.
Deep Das Gupta.
Come on, no.
Oh, okay. I thought last I got, but I have another answer.
Yeah, I think you know the
that-
answer. I'll tell you again the question.
No, I got the question.
You got the
I
question.
know, I got the question. Joshi, SS Das, Shardul Thakur, and another guy has
Yeah.
worn a particular jersey in the ODI team. Is
Jersey
it
number.
24?
Nope.
Oh, then I don't know.
Okay. Fine. Finally, 7-1.
Okay, but can I go again?
Yeah, you can totally.
Man, Shardul Thakur, man, what does he? It's not 25, right? 24, 25 was like.
It is. I mean, like, why you know quizzing well?
Okay, got
Quiz
it.
question will be around something iconic. It will not be about something trivial or obscure. So
Oh, now I got your last name hint. Is it Tendulkar?
yes, this is number 10, and the only 4 men to have worn it in the 2000s are Shardul Thakur, Shiv Sundar Das, Sunil Joshi, and Sachin Tendulkar. So that's
nice.
it, man. That you've got all of them correct. Great, and I can still go on with questions, but I think we have run out of time.
No, this is fine.
So I asked this question to all my guests. If it is an India-Pakistan final played at Lord's, which person from the comedy industry would you want to go with? You are allowed to pick only one person who is a stand-up comedian from your fraternity. So who would be that guy you would take with you?
Oh, it's got to be Kumar Varun.
Kumar Varun, KV.
Yeah, KV.
Okay, KV it is then. Then our next guest should be KV.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is
KV and I.
Yeah, tell me a bit about his love for cricket.
I think we kind of really connected due to quizzing. He's the god of quizzing, of all quizzing, and like really, we used to have a quiz group in Kolkata where I was there. Vaibhav Sethia was another comedian. He was there, and a bunch of my school friends and others were there. Then when we moved to Bombay, obviously we lost touch with the Kolkata quizzing group, and didn't even know that KV was such a good quizzer. As I speak, KV has sent a WhatsApp quiz question. Like, so that's KV for you. It's like 24 hours he's sending questions on this group, on that group, keeping quizzing alive. And I feel cricket is cricket got us closer also because we kind of love the same era of cricket. which is the late 90s, early 2000s. Probably like, we were very fascinated with the 80s and the 70s, not so much the 2000s, the 2010s. So, yeah, so if there's a comedian I can go watch a match with at Lords, full of history, it's got to be KV.
Thank you so much, Anirban. This was actually one cracker of an episode. It was so amazing talking to you, to hear your Kolkata and Eden Garden stories. And yeah, you are one hell of a cruiser. Thank you so much for giving me your time.
Thank you so much, Amit. There's just one thing I want to tell you, that your tweets, start my day. So, like, the
Oh.
first thing I go on Twitter, I've like unfollowed all politicians, all news media, and I'll only follow like cricket and football related stuff on Twitter. And every morning, there are two people who's always like, tweet shows up, is Joy Bhattacharya and you. And oftentimes, like, I'll copy that question and put it on the group by like, removing a name and making it into a quiz question and all. So literally every day starts with your tweets. So thank you so much for doing that.
So sweet of you. So sweet of you. And you've put me in a really, I would say, exalted company with Joy Bhattacharya. And thank you so much. I am so honored.
Thank you so much.